that's YouTube and everybody. Let's see. Okay, YouTube, you're good. Let me make sure Instagram is going. Although I've got TikTok set up already, actually. Or not live, but it's ready to go at least. All right, Instagram, Substack. All right. Substack. There we go. All right. Substackers, excellent. All right, 3 Substackers hiding. StreamYard's the service I use to stream the video to YouTube and everywhere else at the same time, simultaneously. All right, you guys are okay. Now I'm going to start TikTok and then we're good. All right, not too bad today. All right, not too bad. All right, flip that. Excellent. Okay, everything's good. Woo! All right, everything is good. Much better. Welcome, 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 everybody. Woo! All right, how we doing today? Oof, I'm on like muscle relaxants for my back, so I'm just, it messes with me. Hey, Vicky. Yes, that's Vicky. So it messes with me, you know. So we'll see. I'm doing okay, but I'm just like, they just put me to sleep. I hate them, but I don't have a choice because my back is really bad. I've already made more doctor's appointments. I'm like, oh, it's driving me crazy. TikTok is live. It doesn't always show it's live for everybody, but it's live. What's it doing? TikTok has this thing where it doesn't tell everybody I'm live, which drives me nuts. It just sort of, it did it to me the other day. It wouldn't even show me it was live, but it's live. I'm looking at people on TikTok. It just may not be showing you, which it likes to do for some crazy reason. I know, the yoga and Pilates, I've been wanting to do my yoga, but I'm a little nervous because even stretching has made my back worse. So I'm like, you know, if stretching in the last couple of days made it worse, I'm like, So I'm trying to kind of do some, you know, the muscle relaxants and meloxicam first for a couple of days, get it to calm down. I'm getting a physical therapy thing from my doctor, which I called today and they didn't get back to me because doctors are getting very bad lately. Got some new appointments with 2 other, it's just driving me bonkers. It's just muscle pain, but it's all over my back and it's driving me bonkers. Bonkers. I've been live everywhere, Rachel, but it just doesn't always tell you. Anyway, hello everybody. Oh, my. As I yawn at you from my flexural-induced coma. Yeah, TikTok does that. It doesn't, yeah, it just does that. Yeah, we don't know why, Vicky. It just does. Lower back, yeah, I mean, I have upper back problems with my spine, but my lower back is just muscle pain. And it's a lot. And it's bad. Oh, thank you, Christina. To the point where, like, getting up in the morning, I've got to be careful because it's on the edge of seizing. It's on the board. I think, is that French? I don't remember. That might be French, what I was just saying. But it's on the edge of, like, seizing if I hit the wrong position, which scares the hell out of me. Anyway, oh my God, so many problems. Because there are multiple YouTubes now, and it confuses people. But yeah, there are multiple YouTubes now. There's a YouTube that's horizontal and a YouTube that's vertical. YouTube now gives a choice. And interestingly enough, YouTube is promoting the vertical one. So the one that's for shorts, like with your cell phone, kind of like TikTok, YouTube promotes it like 10 times as much. So I'm streaming to both now. So anyway, it's Ukrainian Independence Day. Oh, thank you for the tomato. The tomato was funny, actually. Thank you, Ernie. It's Ukrainian Independence Day to all who celebrate, as we say. So happy Ukrainian Independence Day. Anyway, guys, so happy Monday. Oh my God. I went for my Greek passport today. I applied. It takes some time. It'll arrive sometime in the next 2 to 6 weeks, maybe. But that was very exciting. It was so Greek of an experience because as my regular viewers know, I just became a Greek citizen a few months ago, U.S. and Greek now. But applying for the European passport, oh my God! I walked in, and the guy was very serious, like, you know, in Greek, Mr. Aravosis. I said yes. He's like, okay. He's younger than me. I don't know how they get to become old men so young. You know, came into the office, and I told him in Greek. I said, you know, I speak Greek. I said English will be easier. So of course, what did we do? we continued in Greek. Of course. So the whole thing was in Greek, fingerprinting, all this crap. And I'm like, okay, well, with my Greek, it was fine. It went fine. It was very funny, though, but it went fine. So in 2 to 6 weeks, I should get my European passport. Very excited. And I will show it off on the show because I'm very excited. I don't know that I will need it anytime soon. We shall see. But it's a matter of principle. So we shall see. But it's going to take 2 to 6 weeks. But it was just very funny being at the embassy and like kind of Greek. There is something with certain Greek functionaries, I find. Government officials that help you do stuff where they're kind of quiet. The clerks can be kind of quiet, you know? Yeah, they're just kind of quiet, you know, very funny. So anyway, welcome everybody. John Aravosis here in Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about the latest news and there. You know, a lot of late breaking, actually not a lot, but a number of late breaking stories. I was actually going to start with this. I'm going to yell at you guys because my back's been a mess. So like I said, I'm on Flexerol for my back, which is just making me tired. It doesn't make me loopy. It just makes me tired, which is really annoying. But what do you do? It is what it is, you know. You don't really have a choice. No, mine just has been getting bad on its own, Annie. Oh, interesting. I will write that down. Because I would be happy to try to find something else that might work. Hang on here. So anyway, guys, let's get rolling. As always, I hit you up for the gifts because, you know, I love you. So please keep the gifts coming. They support my work. All the creators, not just me. Anybody on TikTok, YouTube, anywhere else. Always good to support your creators. So thank you for that. Ernie, 1,200 days as my fan. I think that counts as stalking at this point. I think you may officially get the stalker's badge for that one. Thank you, Ernie. Supreme Court just issued a decision on. Well, okay, I'm a lawyer, so we'll talk this through. They just issued a decision on mail-in ballots for Trump, but it's a little confusing. So basically, as you know, Trump has been trying to ban mail-in ballots. Now, why? Okay, let's say what they are. Mail-in ballots, literally ballots you can send in by mail. Washington, D.C., a lot of us do it that way. It's easier. You mail in your ballot and you're done. Trump has been trying to ban it. Why? Thank you, Addie, for the gift. Why is always an interesting thing with Donald Trump? Because what Donald Trump says is often not the truth. So you can't really say, oh, he wants to watch. Sorry, I was reading what Joy wrote. Watched. I said watched. She's watched the Ukraine war since we started. He wants to ban mail-in ballots because he thinks there's cheating. He says that. That doesn't mean that's why he wants to do it. It's Donald Trump. It actually, thank you, Fallon. It probably means that's not the reason, right? Trump himself routinely uses mail-in ballots. He says, no one should use mail-in ballots. What does Trump vote with? Mail-in ballots. All the time. He's been doing this at least since he's been president. So that's BS right there. He claims that he lost. Well, here's the funny thing, too. He claims that he won the election in 2020, but then he claims that he lost the election in 2020 because of mail-in ballots. And it was funny. I was reading a story today, and the story was saying, there's no proof of that. Well, it depends which way you spin it. Trump lost possibly in part because of mail-in ballots, because a lot of Democrats vote by mail. Now, more Republicans are voting by mail now, so I think it's changed. Like previously, it was a lot of Democrats that voted by mail more than Republicans. Now I'm not convinced that Democrats have the advantage. But what Trump, he won in the Supreme Court today, but it's not a full victory. He still could lose. And that's why I'm saying it's a nuanced thing that just happened with the Supreme Court, okay? Let's first say what Trump is trying to do. And I'm going to pull this up from AP and some other news stories so that I explain it well. He issued an executive order in March, so, 4 months ago, whenever it was, 5 months ago. And the policy would require the U.S. Postal Service to review outgoing mail ballot envelopes. So if any state tries to send ballots by mail, the Postal Service would be required to review the envelopes for compliance with federal requirements before accepting them, right? So they would, A, put some kind of requirement on the envelope, and the Postal Service, but this is where it gets scary. Donald Trump's Postal Service, which is now run, and it has been for a while, by Trump people, thank you, son. So the Postal Service is now also no longer an independent agency that you can trust. The Postal Service, run by Trump people, can say, well, all of those Democratic ballots in that state, we don't like those envelopes. We don't think those envelopes are appropriate. So we're not going to mail those ballots. That is, in a general sense, the biggest danger what we're talking about, right? The Trump people and Trump's partisan activist appointees get to decide which ballots get sent by the mail, yours or mine, right? That's bad. The other thing is, listen to this, election officials would also have to use a new federal ballot mail portal to submit personal information about voters receiving ballots. So the other thing they're trying to do is require states to basically divulge who is on their voting lists, so the Trump people can kind of, Trump wants to scrub the voting lists. He wants to scrub the voter registration list and basically get rid of anybody that he doesn't like, which would be you and me. Now, why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because we don't like people stealing elections, but it's a bigger problem is the president doesn't really have the power to do this kind of stuff. In America, the power with elections rests with the states. States run elections. The president doesn't. Trump is trying to do it because Trump is Trump, right? He'll just do whatever. The concern is, again, that if you've got corrupt federal officials, again, Donald Trump's Justice Department, Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, going through voter lists for states and deciding who does and doesn't belong on that list, that would be a very scary thing. That's the concern with all of this. Now, what did the Supreme Court rule today? The Supreme Court, hold on a second. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. We're already back to my temperature getting cold again. What the Supreme Court ruled was it was too early for Democratic states, or any states, but it was Democratic states, to oppose Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots. What they said, and literally this just came out in the last hour, so I was reading some stories and they weren't getting too much detail, but I remember this from a couple months ago as well. What the Postal Service and the Trump people were saying was, well, the Postal Service hasn't even issued its rules or its regulations yet for how it's going to implement Trump's order. So Trump writes his little piece of paper. He signs it, doesn't write it, of course, signs his piece of paper in the White House ordering restrictions on mail-in ballots. And the Postal Service then has to implement it. And for the Postal Service to implement it, they've got to write rules and regulations that basically say, it's like it would almost be like a briefing book that says, okay, this piece of paper is what Trump wants us to do. This book is how we're going to implement it. And what the court was saying today, and frankly, they might be right, the Supreme Court, even though the Supreme Court is kind of a Republican activist organization lately, a MAGA activist group, they might be right about this in that courts don't always like to take action if the situation hasn't really, thank you, brown-eyed girl, if the issue isn't ripe. And what I mean is, what the Trump people said, and again, they might be right about this. Well, the Postal Service has not even issued its rules yet. It hasn't even issued its explanation of how it's going to implement Trump's executive order. Well, if the Postal Service hasn't told you what it's going to do, how do you know that what it's going to do is going to be unconstitutional? Again, we would have to talk to somebody who knows the Postal Service stuff inside out as to, now, the 3 liberal justices on the court thought that was bull. They thought that was BS, that basically the court could rule. But the conservative justices said, we are not deciding whether or not Donald Trump is allowed to do what he's doing. We are deciding that the Democrats basically sued too quickly because we don't yet know what the Postal Service is planning to do with the ballots, and we've got to see it first before we can rule and say, well, that goes too far. So you understand that? So you got it. So that's kind of where things are. It is considered too late, probably, for this decision to make a difference in this election. We hope. Ha ha ha. But for for this election, obviously big concerns with the presidential election in 2 years. That's a mess. Now, Mama Knows Best raises a good counter argument. Actually, that was a good argument on YouTube. She said, no part of the election process is supposed to be interfered with by the federal government. And my suspicion is that Democrats would respond and say just that it doesn't really matter whether the Postal Service says, well, we're going to interfere with mail-in ballots this way or this way, because under the U.S. Constitution, they're not allowed to interfere, and U.S. law, they're not allowed to interfere at all, because elections under the U.S. Constitution are run by the states. They're not run by the federal government. So therefore, it doesn't matter in which way Trump wants to interfere with elections. Under U.S. law, he's not allowed to interfere with elections. Anyway, YouTubers, maybe hit that like button. YouTube, yeah, TikTok, I mean, not YouTubers, TikTok. TikTok's been playing games lately with the traffic. I don't know why. Oh, I meant to tell you guys too, some big news, or good news. I mean, big news, whatever. I think it's big news because I like him. David Pakman is going to join us on September 8th, 6 o'clock Eastern, our usual time. David is a really, I mean, I assume a lot of you guys know who David is. I like David a lot. David is a long-time, well, I mean, I would say David does what I do, but David does what I do 100 or 1,000 times bigger than what I do. So I don't want to compare myself to David in that way and be rude, basically. David is huge media, progressive media. I would say progressive. Now who knows what progressive means anymore. But Democratic, whatever, media personality. Works on his own, has his own channels like we've got on TikTok and YouTube and everything. But David's freaking huge. I'll bet you David, September 8th, David is probably got millions of YouTube followers, I'll bet you. And I'm sure he's got probably millions on TikTok too. Anyway, he's great, very interesting guy, very thoughtful. He's just a really fascinating guy. I mean, he's got a lot of influence, but he's very thoughtful, he's very interesting. He's Argentine, which I always found kind of interesting because I had worked in Argentina, and I speak Spanish, and my Spanish is kind of a little bit of Argentine Spanish. So anyway, that was kind of fun too. Fluent in Spanish, but again, you talk to David and he's just so, Yankee, as the Argentines say, American, that it's kind of fun to think of him as Argentine too. Thank you, Sadie. Anyway, that'll be September 8th. So David just got back to me today and mentioned he's got a new book coming out, which was the perfect. He's got 3.6 million followers on YouTube. That's pretty good. Yeah. How many has he got on TikTok? Anybody know? Just curious offhand. I'm sure he's got a lot on TikTok too. Don't mention soccer. Although now I may say, I was told not to mention soccer. But he's a great guy. So I was very excited. He mentioned the book was coming out, and I was like, please come on. We had him on our podcast. I was doing a podcast years ago. And had David on the podcast. So like I said, just a very thoughtful, interesting guy. I just really enjoy his opinions and his intellect and even the way he approached it. Anyway, very exciting. Was I blushing? Nope. I have a tan because I was in Arizona. Anyway, very exciting. So David, 1.5 million on TikTok. Okay, that's still very good, obviously. Oh, we stopped I did the podcast for years with a friend. It never went anywhere. It was really weird. Like, TikTok, I've been doing TikTok and YouTube. My TikTok has done very well, obviously, like almost 900,000, maybe 880,000 people. My YouTube is still building up. It's not big. I mean, I forget if my YouTube is 40-some thousand or something. My Instagram's getting bigger, 60,000. My Facebook's getting bigger, 60,000. But they're all kind of small compared to TikTok. Well, my podcast had like 200 people listening to it or something. And I was like, forget it. No, after 4 years, it was too much work. It was just too much work. I loved podcasting because what I liked about podcasting is podcasts are basically radio shows. I mean, some people call this a podcast too. Like it depends, I think there's it's kind of a fuzzy definition today of what podcasts are, but back in the day, a podcast was pretty much a radio show. And I liked it because it was, to me, it's relaxing in a way, not having to worry about the camera and having the microphone. And when the camera's, for example, like right now, when the camera's not on and you've got the microphone, you can kind of get the microphone close to your face and just talk really slowly and a little more. And it sounds more intimate and stuff if you're really just doing the microphone, like even the way I'm talking to you right now. Because I'm on camera, I'm not really comfortable doing this because I feel like it's blocking my face. Whereas if the camera was off, you would talk more like this. And I think it sounds better, frankly. I mean, it's just a radio quality voice. But in any case, what do you do? But nobody was listening. So I was like, thank you, Succeed, Screaming Goat. So what do you do? Nobody was listening. I was like, what, But isn't it neat? Yeah, that's the thing with microphone. Oh, thank you, Infinity. Which goat do we want? Halloween goat. Excellent. Succeed gets a Halloween goat. She bought the gift on TikTok. She, he, you know me. I can never remember what gender you guys are. Thank you, Brown Eyed Girl. I never freaking remember. I have a face for video. Thank you for that. Okay. Well, because that's always the joke. The joke with radio is to tell people, you have a face for radio. It means you're ugly, right? Because a voice for radio, I don't really have a voice for radio. I mean, there are people who have deeper voices on radio. It comes across. I can't even do a deep voice. Thank you, Cricket. Deep voices on radio come across really, with the microphone, they just it's amazing, the sound. And so the true thing to tell somebody is, oh, you've got a really great voice. Like I'll tell people, oh my God, you've got a great voice for radio, because somebody has a really deep voice. When you say you have a face for radio, it's an insult because it means you're ugly and nobody would want to see you on a screen. So anyway, that was funny. All right. Anyway, all right. Sorry, I didn't. Succeeds Halloween goat. Thank you for that. One more time. Thank you. Anyway, all right. Let's get back to our news then. So, the Iranians, some news today, very weird with Iran. I think, I may amend it. It's a lot of work, though, the podcast stuff. Because honestly, one of the problems with the podcast was I had to edit the show every day. And even it was just a pain. It would be like this show, having to sit for another half hour to an hour and take the tape. And I'd have to clean it up, at least clean it up orally, you can listen to it. I'd have to upload it, put titles, put descriptions. It was driving me crazy. That's honestly, and I will say, people like David and others who have become big, which is nice. Hopefully, I'm assuming they can hire people that can do that for them, and it's much nicer. I cannot really afford to hire people to put up my podcast. In any case, so Iran today. Let's talk about Iran a little bit. Iran did something weird today, although it wasn't as new as I thought it was. We did talk about the Supreme Court ruling. Yep. Well, you can talk about it again at the end, oh boy. But we literally just finished talking about it. Iran threatened to kill Barron Trump today, Trump's son. It was pretty effed up. They put out a video, and it was weird because it was a video in Farsi, in the Iranian language. So it wasn't even a video for us, but it kind of was for us because they were trying to scare us, but they put out a video. And the video was titled killing Barron Trump. It was crazy, right? Trump's son, Barron. Barron is 20 years old, right? And they basically claimed that they're following him around on his campus at New York University in New York City. They claimed they described what the Secret Service agents were wearing and what he was wearing to try to claim, we see you. They also claimed, very scary, that they have put a $10 million bounty on anyone who kills him. It's really bad. This is bad on a few levels. I mean, and the other thing, Adult Swim just mentioned it. A month ago, they put out a similar threat about Melania. And they mentioned Barron a month ago, kind of like we're watching you or you're coming or whatever. Now they're going after Barron. You know, the thing is this just psychological warfare? Maybe, right? Are the Iranians really not planning on doing anything to Barron Trump? Maybe. But you've got to assume they are. And, you know, I don't like Trump. I don't like his family. Barron Trump is 20 years old. I mean, you know, he doesn't have a role in any of this. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Linda. He doesn't, you know, going after him is crazy. And the $10 million thing is really scary because it makes it a little more real. And if you're the Supreme Court, I was going to say, if you're the Secret Service, you don't really have a choice but to take this real. You know, you've got to take this seriously. You've got to take it as a serious threat. And that's why I think, like, A, making the threat against Trump's son, B, claiming you're offering a $10 million bounty or a prize, right? Claiming you know what clothes he was wearing and what his Secret Service. They also claimed that they hacked his Xbox and his Discord, maybe, who knows. But all of that together, what worries me is it makes Trump potentially freak out to the degree he cares about his son. You know, it's Trump, who knows? But it potentially makes Trump freak out even more about Iran and do something stupid. So anyway, I think it was a dumb move. Actually, it was a dumb move by Iran because, let's put it this way. I'm trying to think of how to say this the right way. Much of the world and much of America was not thrilled that Trump went to war with Iran. I have no sympathy for the Iranian government. Iran cannot be permitted to get a nuclear weapon, in my view, but they weren't about to get a nuclear weapon. Trump just kind of went to war. It was stupid. And he also inefficiently went to war. He went to war, and we're not even winning at this point. Trying to think of what I was going to say with this. This just worries me that it's going to make Trump even nuttier about what he does next with Iran, and that's not good. Anyway, I know what I was going to say. I was saying about from the Iranian perspective, I think this was a dumb move for Iran because Iran, I don't want to say Iran had a lot of sympathy, but what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of us criticized Trump for starting this war. Present tense. Criticized Trump for starting this war. Iran is not a victim, in my view, but Trump should not have started this war. For many people around the world, Iran probably seemed a little bit like a victim, right? Not for me, but for some. Going after Trump's son, his 20-year-old son, who's in college, is obnoxious. It's obnoxious. It creates sympathy for Trump, basically, or it creates antipathy for Iran. They lose standing. Exactly. Well, it's a weird thing to explain because, like I said, it's not like Iran has standing, right? I don't respect the government of Iran, and even with the war, Iran can't be permitted to get nuclear weapons, but they weren't about to get them. But it puts Iran in a bad situation because it makes them look very bad, and it makes them look very evil to be targeting the innocent college student son of even an American president who's evil. You don't try to go after his 20-year-old son. He made a lot of money on crypto. I don't care. That's my point. You don't try to kill him. He's 20 years old. It's inappropriate. And it creates bad blood for Iran when Iran was getting actually some good publicity or whatever you want to call it because people were so pissed at Trump, right? Again, I'll move on from now, but maybe that's the way to put it is it's not like Iran was getting good publicity. It's not like people thought good things about Iran, but we thought such bad things about Trump and his role in this war that it helped Iran, at least. And now Iran is doing things that's making us think very bad things about Iran as well. That's bad. All right, what else do we've got? Oh, this was interesting. Let me read you this from the New York Times. I just thought the New York Times wrote this up as a very good paragraph. All right? With efforts to end the war with Iran sputtering, the Trump administration on Monday announced plans it said would... Oh, okay. I know why I put this down. I'm going to read it in a second. So this weekend we heard, or the last couple days, Trump was going to have an economic D-Day. D-Day, the Allied invasion of France to liberate France, and the really, well, I mean, I'm not necessarily a World War II expert, but I think you could probably say the D-Day was the beginning of the big sort of pushback against the Germans and the fall of the Germans in World War II, really. But Trump has declared, we're going to have an economic D-Day against Iran, and there's all these economic things we're going to do that's going to make Iran come to its knees. And I, of course, said, well, why didn't you do that already, right? If you're going to make Iran come to its knees by using economic levers, why didn't we use them? Wouldn't you use economic levers before you use military levers? Like, what's that about, right? In any case, not very helpful. But this was the New York Times talking about Trump's newest threat to use an economic D-Day to take down Iran and win the war with this huge economic sanctions. Here's what the New York Times had to say about Trump's big new gambit, right? With efforts to end the war with Iran sputtering, the Trump administration on Monday announced plans it said would cut Tehran off from the global economy, but offered few details. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent threatened sanctions against countries that do business with Tehran during an announcement he promoted as Economic D-Day, but acknowledged it was more a warning shot before a period of quiet diplomacy. So Trump for days has been threatening economic D-Day is coming. We're going to destroy them. Bessent then says today, yes, we're going to have economic D-Day, but then says, but what was the quote again? Acknowledged it's more of a warning shot before a period of quiet diplomacy. So in other words, Bessent said today, it's not really economic D-Day. We're just saying, we're warning economic D-Day as a precursor to negotiations. We're not actually doing it. Which, I mean, right, like, oh, nobody could have guessed that Donald Trump's big threat of the last 5 days was total bullshit. Right? Oh, who could have known that Donald Trump was making it up? That Donald Trump was going to taco, exactly. That Donald Trump was going to flip-flop and totally, oh my God, Anyway, oh, Donald. The trade war with Canada is heating up. I'm going to yawn at you. Sorry. The trade war with Canada is heating up. So Trump, whatever. Negotiating with Canada. Trump tried to get them to cave on a bunch of stuff. Canada refused. Trump hit them with, trade sanctions, basically. Tariffs, which means you and I are paying more for goods. Trump initially hit them, let me see here. Trump hit them with 50% tariffs on goods including hockey sticks, beer, and whiskey. The Canadians then retaliated by putting a number of tariffs on U.S. goods that go into effect Labor Day. It's like early September, so in a week or two. Trump then retaliated today and said on January 1st, and this is again total taco, on January 1st, we're going to have a 50% tariff, thank you, Chazak, a 50% tariff on cars, trucks, both large and small, automotive parts, and steel from Canada. Except it's going to be January 1st, 4 months from now. In other words, he's threatening it, but he's not really doing it because this is Donald Trump. He then made a bunch of horrible comments about Canada, how it's a horrible country and they're bad people and they're the worst country in the world. And then J.D. Vance went out and made another stupid, immature comment about Canada becoming a United States state. It just, they're immature. Honestly, I really wish the world could get together and just like close the door. I really do. I wish the world could just, and the problem is there's too many countries, but like the Europeans, the Canadians, the Asians, just get together and say, you know what? We're not trading with you anymore. You're kind of a country of crazy people, us, and you've elected a crazy man who hates us. We're just not going to trade with you anymore. If you think you can make enough business with other people, go without Europe and Asia and Latin America, okay, right? But the problem is you'd have to have every country get together to do it, which is not easy, right? That's the problem. What else we got? It is Ukrainian Independence Day, as I mentioned. Mike Pence, who was Trump's vice president the first time around, Pence is in Ukraine today. He actually put out a very nice statement. Let me read this to you. He said, visiting Ukraine today, 4.5 years after the brutal and unprovoked invasion by Russia, I sense that the Ukrainians' steely will and commitment to defend their freedom is even greater today than when Russian tanks first rolled. Ukraine is winning this war with the right support of America and our allies. The brave Ukrainian people can achieve a victory for freedom for themselves and the free world. It's the kind of thing American presidents used to say. And then Donald Trump got elected, and it was like, oh, well, we no longer care about freedom and democracy anymore. We no longer care about taking on our enemies and defending the world from places like Russia and China, because this is Donald Trump, or North Korea for that matter. Trump also, by the way, quick little aside, Trump also, we found out, called off some of the military exercises with South Korea. They might have been called off a few months ago, but we just found out today about it. He did this during his first term, too, because the North Koreans don't like us doing military exercises with the South Koreans, and Trump doesn't want to make his North Korean friends upset. Boo-hoo. Final thing, and this is a good story. From what I'm reading, it may not be a game changer immediately, but the Brits gave the Ukrainians the details to the blueprints for Storm Shadow cruise missiles. These are cruise missiles that the French and the Brits create together. The French apparently already provided their blueprints. The Brits just provided theirs, but they're, from what I was reading, they're $1 million, well, actually 1.3 million a cruise missile. So they're not cheap to make. They require components from all over the world, so they're very complicated to get the supplies. So what I was reading, I just saw this story before the show. Let's see what some more I'd be curious what some of our military friends say in the next day about this. Because the Ukrainians are going to say thank you, of course, but I'd like to see how significant this really is. I don't know if we know yet how significant this is. All right, that is what I've got for today. We will sit and just relax and talk. Oy, 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 oy. Oh my God. Let me adjust my little camera. Oh, there we go. And now we'll hang and talk. Oh my God, my poor little back. I don't know what's going on with my back though. My back is just sore. The muscles are just sore, but they're bad because I wake up in the morning and it's a little scary as to what happens next, like whether I'm going to be able to get out of bed or the whole thing is going to go like this. So it's been scaring me a little bit. So I'm going to more doctors. Very annoying. But it's very weird. And I tried doing some stretches the other day, and that was a huge mistake. So we're not doing that, at least for the moment. I've been walking. Yeah, I did walking today. I went to the Greek embassy and I walked, which I did on purpose, so it was a good walk both ways. Stretching, I did stretching. Disaster. Stretching was a complete disaster. So anyway. I do not have an inversion table because I live in an apartment. I would look like I have some crazy thing in my apartment if I had an inversion table. I know people do like those though. Yeah. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's been a little bit of a problem on and off for 15 years, but it's like, I'd have to be careful. I didn't fall, nothing happened. It just came up. But for the last 15 years, if I picked something up the wrong way, my back would get sore, and I'd have to be careful. Suddenly, in the last 18 months, it's been getting sore all the time, and it's not stopping being sore. That's what worries me. So we'll see. But it's like I said, it's been waking up in the morning. I'm a little afraid of chiropractors. I'm curious if you guys have had an experience with chiropractors. I'm a little afraid of chiropractors. Because I also have some, spinal issues with the spine pinching the nerves and stuff. And chiropractors, I'm a little afraid of a chiropractor killing me. So I don't know about that. I'm just a little, I'm just a little nervous about it. I've been wearing my better shoes. I am doing that. But, yeah, Paula, chiropractor. No, I know several people who chiropractors have helped a lot. You just have to Aspercream. I couldn't buy enough Aspercream. It's my back. But I'm just a little nervous about the chiropractors in that regard, you know? That's what I mean. They can help or they can damage you. So we'll see. No, I've been going to several doctors. I'm going to two of my specialists. I'm going to go back to in the next couple of weeks because I'm like, all right, this is starting to drive me crazy. So, you know, we shall see. I did try acupuncture once. The one visit didn't help at all, but we'll see. Anyway, it's been very frustrating though because, like I said, currently it's like waking up in the morning and having to very carefully. Yeah, that's what I say, Brompton. Chiropractor scared that because I've had cervical radiculopathy and other stuff. I'm like, you know, but it's just like I'm waking up in the morning and having that feeling where you can tell you've got to get out of bed very carefully, and your back is about to. That's not how you spell your. Jeez, people learn to spell. And my back is basically. It's like one step away from this. I can tell. Like I'm carefully getting out of bed and going, because it's trying to seize. And I do not, I've had that happen once in my life. I don't need that to happen again, you know? So we shall see. Honestly, I will say this too about physical therapy. I've had some really shitty physical therapy people over the years. You know, some of them, there one physical therapy office I was going to, it felt like I was dealing with children. Literally, it was like, okay, take your leg and lift it in the air for the next 15 minutes. And you're going, seriously? You know, recently I went to some folks that I felt was better. So that was better. But I'm going to do physical therapy. What do you do? But I have not been impressed at all. At all. Edie says, walk a lot? Okay. Or Eddie? Yeah, I was walking a lot. And my walker got a job. The guy I walk with got a job. I had a great walking friend in the neighborhood, and he got a job, which I'm glad he got a job. But I was like, you know. But that's a good. If walking helps that much, I will try to walk more. I did walk today. The magnesium. You know, I've got calcium and magnesium. I will also maybe start taking my calcium and magnesium just to be safe. You know. But the PT thing, I think it depends. I think it depends who you get with the PT thing, whether it's somebody who knows what's going on or somebody who's just a goofball, you know? I've not been impressed, but, you know, anyway, I don't think it's arthritis. These are muscles. This is muscle stuff going on. Yeah, so I'm not happy. Anyway, I am not happy, but the problem is we've had the MRI already. The MRI on my spine they did, and the lower spine is actually not bad where this is happening most. So I don't know. No, I'm going back to two of the big specialists. I mean, my specialists in the area in the next couple of weeks, so that I can have both of them because they both have different specialties, kind of, but they're both, you know, for back and to look and say, okay, what the F is going on? But it's pissing me off because also it just feels like. It feels like my chair. I have the best chair on the planet. It is not. Good point, Gene. But no. I have like a $1,500 chair that I did not pay $1,500 for. This is the Aeron or whatever the hell it's called. No, my chair is the best chair on the planet. Now, the chair I watch TV in, the couch could be a problem, right? I mean, those could be problems for sure. You know, chair yoga, yeah. Anyway, oh my God. Oh, was today the Vesuvius eruption? Was it August 24th? I didn't remember that. Was it? Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I could jog. I would die if I jogged right now. But the walking, I've been walking, but I will walk more. Vesuvius was today. Alexa, on what date did Vesuvius erupt that took Pompeii? 79. Oh, it was August 24th. No, I know all about it. Thank you. It goes, do you want me to tell you how it happened so quickly? I'm like, no. Yeah, 79 AD. But it was August 24th, which I did not remember. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I've got an excellent, my chair, I have, like I said, I think it's called Aeron. I forget what it's called. It's the very expensive, famous chair. And I bought it at an estate sale so I could get it much cheaper, but I could have a good chair. So who knows? I mean, it's still possible it's the chair. Who the hell knows, right? You know, oh. I got a new bed. I got a new, I got this is the problem too, is like I bought the new pillow. It was a disaster. The stupid pillow that everybody tells you to get, total disaster. Oh my God. That was horrific, you know? So that was not a good thing. So, yeah, I've been doing the swinging over the side of the bed thing. The problem is, even my bed's a disaster because I got a smaller bed for my dog. I had a lower bed so she could, because she was getting old, so she could get on and off the bed. So now it's harder for me to get out of bed because the bed's too low. So if you're having a back issue, thank you for the gift, Cheryl. If you're having a back issue, getting out of bed is very difficult. Yeah, so that's not good. So anyway, oh my God, it's upsetting. Herman Miller, there we go. Exactly, it's the Herman Miller chair I've got, exactly. So the chair is a very good chair. That's good at least. But, you know, man, very scary stuff. I'm not sure. What am I supposed to do with Epsom salts and vinegar? What do you mean, Joyce? Sorry, and you too. I wasn't sure what I'm supposed to do with those. I know 60 and over, we're doomed. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. No, it's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. I need pet, right, I need pet stairs for my bed, for myself, exactly. No, it's very, yeah, my pillow guy, exactly. Anyway, I'm very upset about this, though. I really do not want this to, you know. Well, I'm just going to buy a new, if it comes to it, the bed frame was like $140. I can just buy a new bed frame. I can buy a bigger one now, you know. But it's just, and I think the beds too, everything, there's too many variables. I'm not happy about this. Anyway, we're talking about my horrible back. I am not happy though at all. It's freaking me out a little bit. You know. Well, the dog thing is gone, so I already got her steps and everything else. She had everything she could have, so you know. So inversion table, that's interesting. Store under bed. Well, it won't store under this bed, but it could store under other beds. Interesting. Well, I can look at that. Yeah, we'll have to look at that. Yeah. Yeah, this bed is, again, too low because the bed's low because of the dog. So it's like, damn bed. We'll have to see. Oh, my God. Salut, Julien de Quebec. Anyway, it's very upsetting, though. Because the problem, too, is I've got to take, like, meloxicam gives me heartburn after a while. The Flexeril knocks me out. It could be stress. I wonder about stress. I do wonder about that. I've been wanting to, well, I wanted to start my yoga again, although even yoga, I'm a little nervous about it because, you know, yeah, this is, yeah, you know, so, you know, no hot water. Yeah, there's no hot water. I don't live in a place that has what do you call them? Bathtubs, unfortunately. Yeah, I've got to see. Well, as I said, part of the problem's been I started stretching when I was taking the meloxicam because everything was calming down and I was stretching and I was getting close to the floor and all that stuff. I stopped the meloxicam and had a little bit of a minor thing last week the doctor did, and I think the procedure and the meloxicam, the lack of meloxicam, both just messed me up, totally messed me up, you know. So anyway, but yes, no. I think what I'm hoping to do is use some of the meloxicam and the Flexeril to calm the back down, and then start doing physical therapy again, and using that to strengthen the back and everything else. That's my hope. Like I said, it just got really bad in the last couple of days, like really bad. So we'll see. But that's my goal. But Jesus Christ. But again, I got to be careful with the pills because the pills are giving me heartburn and everything else too. You know, it's crazy. You know, anyway, oh my God. I've been using ice. Yeah, the ice I've got. I will use it again after the show. I've got a big ice thing for my back that's in the fridge that I forgot to use this morning, actually. So you are right about that. I should put notes around my apartment that says use ice. Oh, and JT, yes, I went to the Greek embassy. Changing topics, I went to the Greek embassy today because I was applying for my Greek passport. So, it may take 2 to 6 weeks to get it because they get it from Greece. I did. I got an extra large ice pack. I did. I got with straps. It's great for your back. Absolutely fabulous. But I've got to do it more often throughout the day. But yeah, so I went to the Greek embassy to get my European passport, diavatirio, as we say in Greek. So, or diavatirio. I saw fallen here. Diavitirio, right? I'm already forgetting how to say it, whether it's an E or an A. I've got to look at it. Now I'm already forgetting. I'm not moving to Greece yet, no. Anyway. But I wanted the citizenship. It's been something important to me since I was a kid. So, but we'll see. I'm going to definitely be spending more time traveling. Diavatirio. It is diavatirio. Okay, I said it right the first time. I said diavatirio, and then I was like, diavatirio? Yeah, diavatirio. But it was funny. I go to the Greek embassy today for my passport appointment, and, granted, I'm Greek now, so of course they'd probably prefer you speak Greek. And I told the guy, a very quiet guy, and I told the guy, and I said, in Greek, I told him, I said, I speak Greek. My Greek's okay. I said, but, it would be easier in English. So, of course, what do? We speak Greek. I was like, okay, all right. And it worked okay. It was a little crazy, but it worked okay. So. But, because he had to fingerprint me, all this kind of stuff where I'm like, I don't know the word fingerprint in Greek, but, but it worked well enough. I was like, okay. He was actually for a Greek government functionary, he was nice enough. A little serious, but I was like, okay. Well, spelling of the name is funny. Because my name in Greek, my last name is Greek. My mother immigrated, but my dad's family is Greek, so we're all Greek. Or we're ethnically Greek, I should say, right? Mom was born in Greece, so she was Greek. Dad was born in America, but his parents were Greek. So my last name, Aravosis, is a Greek name. So the good thing is, at least my last name in Greek was easy because I could hear this. And supposedly there's European rules on it. Actually, the Europeans might know. There are European rules now that are making this much more complicated. That basically you've got to prove in Greek. I'm trying to think of how to put this. You need to prove that with a Greek document. Kosefis. You've got to prove with a Greek document how to write your name in Greek, or they're going to do it for you. And they're going to do it the simple way. And it's kind of screwed up. Because like for my grandfathers, which don't really matter, but they matter a little bit, my grandfather's name, my dad's dad, matters because my official Greek paperwork, Greece being Greece, your father is very important, your mother, not so much in the historical record, right? Even today. So my dad's dad, his name pops up a lot in my Greek documents for citizenship. And they wanted to spell it wrong because, this is the crazy part. I don't even need to, even you guys who don't speak Greek will get this, basically. My dad's father, my grandfather, who came from Greece, his name was Dimitrios. Dimitrios. It's a super Greek name. Well, initially they were telling me they were going to spell his name wrong because, well, we don't, he's American or was American now, so they were going to transliterate his name into Greek. They weren't going to spell it the Greek way, Dimitrios. They were going to spell it like the American way, which basically is using the wrong E sound in Greek. Very complicated. And I was like, well, that's just dumb. He came from Greece. He's Greek. And he's got a Greek name, Dimitrios. Why would you translate it back into Greek the wrong way when it's a Greek name? But that's what they do. So for me, because I have, up until I got citizenship, I never had documents in Greek spelling my name because I'm American, or I was American. I mean, I am, but I was only American. So I had no documents in Greek to prove how to write my name. So my Greek passport is going to put my last name is going to be Aravosis, which is my name in Greek, thank God. It's going to be spelled correctly in Greek, thank God. But my first and middle name in Greek on my passport are going to be Zonzurz for John George, my name in English. Zon, T-Z-O-N. T-Z-O-N, and for George, it's T-Z-O-R-T-Z, Zorz. And you're like, really? You're like, now I'm Zonzurz? Well, it gets worse. At least initially, the Greek passports, like European passports or in general, they're in Greek and English. So it then has my name in English as Zanzorge Aravosis. And I'm like, well, thank God there's a thing they can do that they don't tell you, but we now know of it, so people are telling each other. You can ask them to put a third name for your first name. So I was able to have them put in Greek, Zonzorz, and then in English, Zanzorz for my name, for my first name, and then put or John George. So thank God the passport's going to have my real name in it, because otherwise that can get all sorts of confusing, right? You buy your ticket in America, anyway. But I love that Zonzurz. It's crazy. But supposedly these were European Union rules. Like and it's an interesting legal point. Is my name is John. My name is, my name in Greek is Yanni, but my name isn't Yanni. My name is John, right? My legal name is my birth certificate. It's John. So the Europeans apparently forced the Greeks and others who have names that don't translate directly. Actually, a lot of European names don't translate directly, right, from English. They're starting to force Europeans to use basically the name on the birth certificate of people who naturalize, like me. It's very annoying. Just because, like I said, like Zonzurz. I have been called Yanni since I was a kid. My grandparents, everybody, all my Greek relatives, I've always been called Yanni. That's my name in Greek. But I can't be that officially. Zon. I mean, I guess I would say Zon. I might say that if I'm talking to somebody. I still say my name's Yanni. It's easier. Well, Ioanni is more formal. It would be too formal. So you'd say Yanni is what I would say. Ioanni is what I tell the priest when I go for communion. He would say, "What's your name?" Ioanni, Ioanni, and he gives you communion, right? It's maybe if you're getting married, they would use Ioannis, maybe. But I'm not a Jonathan either, so kind of like Jonathan. It could be. I think Ioanni could be considered like Jonathan in the sense that Jonathan and John, Ioanni, Yanni, yeah, it's a similar concept. It's the formal name versus, but my name is not Jonathan. My name is John in English, of course. So anyway, very, very complicated stuff. So anyway, but yeah, so my trip to the Greek embassy today. And basically, I mean, the idea, it's a 10-year passport. The idea is, I mean, for most people, having the Greek passport wouldn't be necessary. I want it because it matters to me. But once I get it, if I go to Europe, to the Schengen zone, to the European Union, I would leave the United States on my American passport. I would arrive in Europe on my Greek passport. Whether I go to France or Italy or Greece or wherever, I arrive on my Greek passport. I then, when I leave for the States, I leave France, Italy, or Greece, or wherever on my Greek passport, and then when I arrive in America, and I give them my American passport at U.S. Customs and Immigration. So you're supposed to use the passport of the country you're in, basically, the passport of the country you're in if you've got it. So, I mean, so that's the idea. Ioannathan in Greek? Get out of here. There is a name, Ioannathan? That's funny. Yeah, it's complicated. It's very complicated. I'm too old to work as a lawyer in Greek. Yeah, I just wouldn't at this point. I'm just too old. I want to go to Europe and retire. I don't want to go to Europe and work at this point. You know what I mean? That's why it's a little upsetting, because I've been wanting this for 40 years. It would have been nice to have gotten this 20 or 30 years ago because it could have changed a lot of things. You know, what do? You know, but it's still, you know, we'll see. We'll see. You know, but I may use it to spend more time in Europe. I mean, we've got family friends where she's American, husband is Italian. She is also Greek because she's Greek and American, right? Citizenship. So they go to Greece for like 5 months, and he's Italian, so he can do it. They go to Italy for 5 months, and then they go back to the US for 2 months. Now, they keep their tax status in the US. By keeping it to 5 months, it's complicated, but they keep it to 5 months so that they don't become tax residents of Greece or Italy, because the taxes are very high in Greece and Italy, right? So they keep it to 5 months, and then they spend 2 months in the US, and that way they get to visit their families, they get to use their passport, but they don't have to pay the taxes. Because without the passport, they could only go to Greece and Italy for 3 months. You can't go for 5. So it's a very complicated thing. But, you know, we'll see. I don't know that it's going to matter. We'll see. You know. Polish citizenship, by the way, I know other people who've looked into this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Polish citizenship is complicated because if your relative became another nationality, they lost their Polish citizenship, so you can't get it. So like, you could get Polish citizenship if your parent came over from Poland and hasn't become American yet when you were born and everything, then you're okay. I'm pretty sure that's the way, I was told this about Polish citizenship, that there's some, if they naturalized, you could be in trouble, I think. Again, I'm not the expert. I'm the expert on Greek citizenship, not Polish at this point, so I don't know. Polish is not close to Russia. No. Totally different. Totally different, yeah. I mean, obviously totally different, but very different. The Poles are good. Poland is a good place. Russia, government, bad. Russian people, nice, but Russian government, bad. Poland's totally different, yeah. You're Argentine? Oh, because you're Argentine, so you could get, you could get Italian, you mean, potentially. Again, the Italians are starting to kind of clamp down. The Italians have been clamping down on citizenship because a lot of people have been getting it. The Greeks are not clamping down, but a lot of people are applying. So like the Greeks are getting, if anything, the embassy's getting overrun with people contacting them, which is interesting. You know, I don't know why. It's a very interesting question as to what sort of caused so many people to be interested, much more so than when I was younger, in getting dual citizenship. I mean, you could say Trump and stuff, sure, to a degree, but I think it's more than that, you know? I wonder whether it's not tied to the same issue you've got of so many people visiting Europe now, for example, and maybe not just Europe, but like Europe is kind of, I went to Italy last year, it was a zoo, and I've heard the same thing with other parts of Europe, that it's just kind of becoming a bit of a zoo with so many tourists, you know, and I don't know what caused that, you know? Yeah, that family that moved to Russia, I don't know what happened to them. Didn't they come back? Remember that family that moved to Russia because they wanted family values? Didn't they come back, either come back to, was it Canada or the US? I'm forgetting now. I thought they left. Didn't they leave? I'm forgetting now. Wasn't that the case? I don't remember. But I thought they may have come back. I thought they were Canadian. For some reason, I'm thinking Canadian. I don't remember why. Somebody must remember. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too, Ash. I was borderline. I was borderline, but I was like, eh. You had the same feeling. The guy had to go to Ukraine? I don't remember. He was sent to, no way, he was not sent to Ukraine. There's no way. There's no way. Let me see here. I want to see what happened to that guy who left either the US or Canada to move to Russia because he wanted family values. I'm using Google's AI. Oh, he was a Texan. There were a couple of them. Google's AI. There are a couple of prominent Western families who recently made this move, moving to Russia for better values, and both stories ran into major trouble. Derek Huffman from the U.S. There is a Canadian too. A 46-year-old father from Texas, originally Arizona, surprise, moved his wife and 3 daughters to Russia to escape woke culture and LGBTQ plus politics or topics in schools. Shortly after arriving, he signed a contract with the Russian military. Oh my God, this is true. With the Russian military reportedly expecting a non-combat. Oh no, they did the weird kidnapping thing they do. They did that kidnapping thing where they basically take men and force them to fight. Oh my God. Reportedly expecting a non-combat or logistics welding job in exchange for expedited citizenship. Instead, with little training and not speaking the language, he was sent straight to the front lines in Ukraine. His wife posted viral video pleas stating he'd been thrown to the wolves, though Huffman later appeared in videos indicating he survived and was granted accelerated Russian citizenship for his service. So he survived and got the Russian citizenship, but they tricked him and threw him to the front lines of Ukraine. Oh my. Oh my. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Arend Feenstra, the Canadian. So this is the Canadian person here. So that's the next one, right? Arend Feenstra from Canada. A conservative father who moved his wife and 8 children, oh my God, 8 children, from Saskatchewan, Canada, to a farm in Russia to escape LGBT ideology and economic struggles. Economic struggles? You were worried about economic struggles and you moved to freaking Russia? Seriously? Their transition turned difficult almost immediately when their bank accounts containing the proceeds from selling their Canadian farm were frozen over suspicious activity. His wife vented heavy frustrations in His wife vented heavy frustrations in a deleted video. She vented frustrations about the Russians and having moved to Russia, and then deleted the video, and Feenstra later issued public apologies, clarifications after drawing scrutiny from local authorities. So they moved to Russia for the freedom. It wasn't everything they thought it was going to be. The wife publicly criticized the Russians and the move, and a short while later, the videos disappeared and the family had to publicly apologize to the Russians. Smells like freedom. Leo Hare from the U.S., another prominent moral migrant father who moved from Texas to Russia with his family. They faced severe culture shocks, including having their older sons want to return to America because Russian public schools strictly require language proficiency, leaving the family struggling with schooling and isolation. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, I did not know about, I only knew about, well, this explains why I thought there was a Canadian family and an American family. There were both. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's kind of a mess. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. That's pretty funny. Well, this one might be the same. Yeah, JTA. The one who died might be the guy who didn't die. It says the guy went to the front and there were reports that he died, but then they later showed a video from his family showing he was okay. So that might be the same one, I think. Might be. So, wow. Well, these people, I mean, the thing is, what did they expect? People have been sold a bill of goods about Russia. And the Republican Party bought into it too, to some degree. Well, actually not to some degree, to a large degree, right? Oh, they're so religious. They're not that religious. The Ukrainians are way more religious than the Russians, and the Americans, way more religious than the Russians. We're super religious here. Generally, I mean, I'm not, but generally speaking, we are. The Russians, they're not very religious at all. They're not. But they've presented this facade of being super religious and family values and this kind of stuff, and they're not. So I think what happens then is you get some of these Republican families who move to Russia and they bought the story that, oh, this is like moving to an even more religious country than America. It's not. And it's Russia, which has its own issues economically and otherwise. Yeah, so very bad. The Brit died fighting for Russia. I vaguely remember that. Yeah. I vaguely do. Something in the last 6 months, maybe? I think so. Oh, well. Oh, well. What do you do, right? Well, the Soviets were terrible. The Soviets were super anti-religion. Remember, the religion is the opiate of the masses? Because, well, they weren't wrong. They were afraid of, I think, from what I remember, they were afraid of religion being a competition to the Soviet party, right? I mean, the party is all controlling. You can't have religion being its own independent and not just independent, but God over. If you believe in God, he's more powerful than everybody. So he's more important than the party even. They can't allow that to go on at the same time, you know? So, you know. I mean, again, they got sold a pack of lies about the Russians and people believed it, you know? Apparently in Canada, they're telling them the same story. Oh, it's such a religious country and such good values. And they don't have the LGBT stuff they claim. It's like, well, they don't have the LGBT stuff. I guess that's true. They also don't have food. So there's that, or jobs. So there's that too. Or freedom. I mean, which is the irony too, that for people who claim they so care about freedom, they're going to a country that isn't free. Which that poor Canadian family found when the wife criticized the Russians, not even criticized the Russians, she criticized the fact that their life was very difficult there and she wasn't enjoying it, and she had to delete the video and apologize. I mean, because Big Brother wasn't happy. Yeah. So, oh well. Anyway, actually, we're at 7:15. We're at 7:15. Exactly. All right, guys, I think we're ready to call it quits for tonight. So thank you for joining us. Exactly. Remember, as I said, well, we got David isn't coming on for a while. We've got David Pakman in 2 weeks, I guess, September 8th. So that will be looking forward to having David join us, but it'll be September 8th, so it's 2 weeks from now. We'll talk about that more as we get closer. Thank you, Edsel. And otherwise, have a good evening, all. Thank you, Ash and Manda and everybody. All the other mods. I saw, who was it? I can't even see who else is here. I always feel bad when I just call out you guys because I don't remember seeing the other ones right now. But any of the other mods that are here, thank you as well. And otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow. Hawk was here. Big Hawk was here. Okay. Well, because I saw Big Hawk wade in the chat. I mean the Discord. All right, guys. I will see y'all tomorrow. All right, 6 o'clock Eastern. Be there or be square. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. I'm going to do my usual. Start with Discord by Discord with my Russian accent. All right. And then Substack, YouTube, etc.